Another day, another Dom and Pop episode. How you feeling, Pop?
Feeling wonderful.
Yeah, Pop is spry. It's an early morning for him getting on this
So
pod. He's feeling good.
another
Time
midnight pod.
differences. Time difference is certainly working in my favor today. Often does. But the boys are getting after it. It's the time to do it. And we're talking Giants pregame. We we did think one of these teams might have been 3-10 at the beginning of the season. Boy, how the mighty fall, huh?
Yeah, well, we've got a better record than they do,
Yep.
crazily enough.
By it's a low bar, but then maybe not for long. We'll talk about
Maybe
it.
not for long. It's a battle for the number one pick.
But look, there's a few key storylines going into this one. Few of which really have anything to do with the football that will be played.
Yeah.
um, but that's the point that we're at with this season. So before we do all the good Giant stuff, first of all, I guess don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. Second of all, um, let's get into some of the key storylines for this week. So first things first, should the Commanders shut Jaden down or should they play him? Now, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because we're recording this Tuesday evening. We do not know right now what that decision will be. That decision could get made between the time that we record this and talk about it. But let's draw our line in the sand. Let's not say what will happen. Let's say what are Dom and Pop in favor of at this point in the year. What do you think, Pop?
I don't know, man. It seems like now the wind has changed and there's a lot of people kind of shouting out there saying he's got to play. It just it just feels like it's just one of those years. It's just going wrong. I don't think him not playing, and if they did shut him down, is some condemnation that he can't stay healthy and he can't avoid injury. I mean, he did it last year, right? He played the whole season, started every game. Got nicked up a little bit with his ribs, but it just feels like I don't know, man. I hate to say it, feels like if he plays, inevitably something else is going to happen. And again, I just think it just feels like it's the way the season's going, right? Dan Quinn made the comment that the reason he pulled him from the game, he could have went back in. His elbow was just sore or whatever. He could have made it back in. He pulled him from the game because it just felt like things were going sideways. Well, that's how the whole season's going. So I'm going to ride with whatever decision they make. I'm much more leaning towards, and anyone that knows me is I'm definitely more old school. Just rub dirt on it and play. This just doesn't feel right. Him getting out there.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I just think at this point, the only thing that could go worse this year is that there's some kind of injury to Jaden that lingers into next year. That's the only thing that could go worse
Yeah,
at this point. And if that's the point that you're at, then I personally like he clearly needs reps and is rusty and is uncomfortable right now. But how much of that discomfort is because of what's been going on with injury? How much of that rust is because of he's been sitting? And how much of these reps and this time at the end of this year is valuable to next year? We talk about it. We learned this way. We learned after the last year, momentum does not carry over year after year, or maybe it does. And the momentum of the 55-23 hammering we took in the NFC Championship is the cloud that's hanging over this year. But I think momentum does not really carry over year to year. Every year is an independent entity, especially when you're looking at every year, you've probably got at minimum 15, likely 20. I think this year we might even have 30 new guys on the roster for next year. Um, it's not like I just I don't see the point other than getting to our next couple of points. But
but it's anytime you have to make big decisions like this, you have to weigh risk versus reward, right?
yeah,
And I don't see how the reward. I agree with you. I think you were spot on, right? Like, who's to say these reps? will carry momentum into next year. I don't think it'll necessarily hurt him. You know, he couldn't have played better last year. He was, you know, in the MVP conversation legitimately. And,
Should have been.
you know, he missed a little bit of time and whatever, but so I don't know. And he hasn't played great this year. There's mixed feelings about that, but I feel like what I saw out on the field was somebody that just wasn't themselves, right? And there's just still this instinct in him that he hasn't learned to turn off or change, where it's like, I'm going to do it with my legs. I'm going to do the heroics with my legs versus
Well, when he
really
gets
focusing on, and I don't know, apparently, I think the Viking scheme, I don't know, it's been a perfect storm. I think that would have been a tough game for any quarterback, under the duress that he was in. I was probably harder on him than what I've heard other analysts say, but still, it just doesn't feel right. If they put him out there, I'll be okay with it and roll with it and understand it. I don't know. I mean, I think if he plays, I think it's going to have mostly to do with him pushing to play.
but also, is there some value to him sitting for a little bit? He never sat behind a veteran quarterback. He never had reps off, really. He's been hurt, but that's a different story when you're hurt versus when you're in a situation where it's like he could go if these games had meaning and context to them, but he isn't gonna go. Like I think there might even be some value in like giving him a little bit of time. Not saying that his play has been so bad that he needs to be benched. That's not what I'm getting at. But I think like he could get some value from sitting down for a little bit and combined with if he was healthy, I wouldn't be having this conversation. But I think if he had no injuries this year and we were still 3-10, which I don't think happens, but even if he had no injuries this year and you're still 3-10, uh, you're not having this conversation until maybe the last game of the
No,
season, right? But given the injuries, given the fact that okay, he's kind of okay, but we don't think he's playing in his best football out there right now. We do think the injuries are contributing to that. Let's let's let the guy sit. So I think let's move on. We probably spent more time on this than we should have already, but I think the Dom and Pop official stance is we don't think the risk outweighs the reward at this point in the year in putting him back out there with what
no.
we saw um, this year. Um, Quick touch on it. Zach Ertz officially out for the year with torn ACL. Probably you don't want to speculate. Maybe he'll try and fight back. I think initially maybe his mindset will be that. But that
It's a
stinks,
tough
man.
rehab for a
That's a
35-year
shame.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a tough rehab for a 25-year-old. I mean, let alone a guy with the miles that Ertz has. And I think at the end of the day, you're talking about potentially a Hall of Fame career, and it's tough to go out that way. But uh, yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
Just
It's
I
really
mainly
sad.
just wanted to show Zach appreciation. I think that guy played his tail off for this
So,
team.
man,
Had one of his best games as a Commander against Denver. Um, just really appreciate it. I was honestly leaning towards I'd be cool with bringing him back if he was healthy. I think it's a much bigger hill to climb. Um, Not trying to draw any silver lining from this because I much rather have him out there, but I guess we'll finally get the opportunity to see what the other guys can do.
yeah,
Right? They're
I
going to
think
have to
it's
step up.
really, I think it's
You
really
know?
what it comes down to. Um, like that's the silver lining in all of it for me is I'm actually excited to see some Ben Sinnott. I'm excited to see some Colson Yankoff. I'm excited to see some John Bates, see what else they use him for, see who gets this next set of reps, see how much are we seeing tight ends catch. I mean, Ertz was like the leading receiver in the game against I mean, I guess Terry probably was, but Ertz was right there with him and he was wide receiver 2 in the Denver game. Um I think there's been plenty of games where Ertz has been wide receiver 2 since he's been here. There have been some games where Ertz has been wide receiver 1 when he's been here. He's a dog. I think you don't win nearly as many games as you won last. I don't think you make it to the NFC Championship game without Zach Ertz
Well, his
last year.
ability to get open, where seemingly once he catches the ball, he has struggles, with Yak, needless to say, but his ability to get open was incredible. And
But who cares? I mean, you can't take 12 yards down the field guaranteed for granted at any point.
no,
Like, and he's sure hands for the most part this year. You had a couple drops, but the guy's a stud. He's a really good
I mean,
player and a
bottom line on
great
a three
dude.
and 10 team, you're not going to really think anyone's playing great, but
No,
he was one of our best players this year for sure.
he certainly had nothing to do with how
Yeah,
bad we were this year.
yeah,
It showed up and showed out every game, and it's gonna be it's gonna be sad to not see the guy. He's a very easy guy to root for. Somebody I loved having around, and
yeah. Me too.
I'll miss him. I'll miss him for sure. And
Me too.
hopefully Sinnott can step up. I think it's time to see. I mean, I think you'd already be having a conversation of all right, let's get him some more reps down the stretch here. So no better time than now. Um, so, what do we need to see from Dan Quinn and the team these last four games? Does any of this mean anything
I
to
think it
you?
actually
What?
does. I think
Yeah,
it actually does because I think, and I'm not. Maybe this is less to do with what it means to me, but I think it means a lot to Dan because I don't. You know, Sam Cosme was on the radio with B. Mitch and Finley, and he said, "Look, I was part of 2023 team. I'm part of this team. It's nowhere close. It's night and day. He hasn't lost the locker room. There's, ton of respect." He said, we can't really explain what went wrong that game. It was just, nothing went right. And so I understand that. But I also think as an ownership group, the fans have a pretty loud voice in things. And if you lose 12 straight, especially if those last four games are non-competitive or for the most part, you get blown out on Christmas Day, you get, just torn apart by the Eagles, you lose this Giants game. I mean, I think it's going to become really difficult to justify bringing a coach back that goes on that kind of slide. And so I am interested to see what we get from him out of the last four games. Not necessarily so much in wins and losses, but competitiveness, right? You want to see something to look back on. Maybe two out of the four games are performances that you can be proud of, similar to that Broncos game, right? Where, you at least were proud of that performance, right? So
I don't know, man.
I guess what I wanted to ask you, I want to flip the tables a little bit.
Please.
We were both pretty down on Dan Quinn. I think you've been more on this train of, we might need to see a change here. Where are you at right now with all of this?
I'm exactly where I was after Sunday. I don't see like I just don't see anything. And that answer from Cosme, I think, is like meant to bring comfort. And I think that's the problem. I think the problem is that nobody knows what's going on. The problem is nobody knows why this team is 3-10. The problem is nobody can explain why this team's not competitive because they're not. They're not. We're celebrating that Broncos game like we went to Denver and we beat them 35-10. We were at home and we lost in overtime in a game that Denver played with their food. Bo Nix threw a terrible pick. They kept us in that game. Like we played, we showed up and we showed effort. You know what that is? That's the prerequisite to being a professional football player is showing up, being prepared, and having effort. That's the prerequisite to being an NFL coach. Showing up, being prepared, having your team have effort and fight for you. What happened the other 7 weeks? I mean, I can't remember a season in 2023 even with Sam Howell at quarterback, in 2022 with Taylor Heineke at quarterback. I can't remember seasons with the amount of blowouts, the amount
Blowout
of games
losses.
that weren't competitive. And it was always like when we lost to Seattle with Howell, right? It was like close game, threw a bad pick at a bad time, didn't get the coin toss in overtime. Like that's how we were losing those games. Critical errors at bad moments.
It's pretty
We're lo-
hard to lose
we're
eight
losing
straight.
these we're losing these games at the coin
Yeah.
toss, at the opening coin toss.
Well, here's the thing too, and this is what and sometimes you get emotional after a game like that. And we were trying, I thought we did a pretty good job holding together, but we both had our outbursts through the course of that. But the thing that I look at it and go is there's still an arrogance about this team that they don't know who they are. Like saying, well, we were lost, but now we're found, whatever that quote was, right? And thinking that
We
somehow, like you
lost, but
said,
we're not lost anymore.
we're not lost anymore.
You
And
lost.
and then having this the sense of, okay, we could have the arrogance to call a trick play on second and goal from the one when we just got our butts whooped. They drove all the way down the field. Like there's this, I don't know that they know who they are, that they realize that you're in the midst of a historically bad run and you need to get a win. It ain't time to play around. It's not time because you're on such a thin edge where in order to get a win, you've got to put out your best ball and your best effort because I think there's a deficiency in talent and there's a deficiency, and it's not all talent. It's the fact that guys have been in and out of the lineup. This team is just not gelling, right?
Yeah,
And so you've got to simplify things. You've got to make sure that you run the play you're most confident, not burn it down on a trick play, right? In that
that
critical
was
situation.
egregious.
But I loved what you said there. I don't think they know who they are. That's
Yeah,
just evidence of that. You don't know who you are. You
and
know,
that's unacceptable. Like
right.
that's unacceptable in year
You
two of a
got a
regime
quarterback that's struggling. Simplify the game plan for him.
with all the. And do you
You
remember
know,
the whole offseason? All we heard was continuity, continuity, continuity. You get Cliff back. This is probably Cliff's last year. You got Joe Witt Jr. back. Maybe Joe Witt Jr., if the defense takes a step forward, could be a head coaching candidate. Can you believe that was what people were talking about? You got Dan Quinn back. You got continuity, continuity, continuity. When was the last year that we had the same coach, the same quarterback, the same coordinators, top down, coming off of a winning season? It's been like a decade, right? That's all we heard. And then you get to a point where this team is lost, dude. And I pulled it up.
well, that's a
The
scary thing. Like, if let's say Cliff is back, is that necessarily a good thing? If he's not, and they use the succession plan and fill the role in house, is that a good thing? Like, I would feel like I'd rather go out and get someone, right? A hot
and
offensive
who
coordinator, an ex head coach. You said Kubiak. I mean, whatever, right? Like, we need a different voice in the building, a different outlook on things.
and
Sorry, I
here's
cut
my
you off.
no, I agree 100%. Here's my last question on this, and then I think we move on.
Yeah.
My final point. Who other than Luke McCaffrey's the only example I can think of, and I think that has more to do with his last name than anything else. Who played well last year and played better this year, or played poorly last year and has played better this year? There has not been a single case. I can tell you 10 guys who played well last year and are nowhere to be found this year
Jordan McGee, maybe.
because he could actually get on the field. He was hurt
Jordan
all year
McGee,
last
I
year.
think Chris Paul.
Jordan
Larry
McGee and
Tunsil
Chris Paul
wasn't.
are two.
Well, yeah, they're two.
Both guys that were buried on the depth chart and had injury issues last
Connerly
year.
steadily improved. He wasn't here last year, but he
Yeah,
steadily improved.
but
But yeah, you're right. I
Luvu,
mean, there's been a lot of regression.
Luvu, star defender, nowhere to
Played
be
every
found this
game.
year. Witness
Yeah.
protection program this year. Played every game. Same with Mike Samerstill. Mike Samerstill's been a liability this year, and this is a guy, Dan Quinn, notorious for his development of defensive backs in the time that he's been in the NFL. Samerstill's been lost. The list goes on and on. Even Jaden, not what he was. At no point this year did we get to see what Jaden was in
Yeah.
2024.
So
Some
just
of that
running
because
it
of
back
injury,
with
some of that
this
because of
same
slow start.
running
But
it back with the same group just doesn't feel like the right call.
yeah, I stand by. I think you got to nuke it. I think it's your best shot at this is you got to blow it all up, and you got to hope that next year we win 9 games, and then maybe we can make a run in so whatever. I can't even do the math. 2027.
I mean,
Um,
maybe the shakeup comes and you bring in a defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator from the outside, and you do a little bit of a reset that way. Maybe
Be cool
that's
with
what
that
he'll
too. Just
consolation prize.
go get
Yeah.
whoever's making McVay's
And
coffee.
let DQ do what he does, which is, the culture rallying, stuff, right?
Come
So
up with
I'll do
sayings and yeah. Anyways,
catchphrases,
write poems.
t-shirts.
Yeah, t-shirts and turn his hat around the other way. Anyways, getting into the Giants scouting report here. That's might be the only show on turf worse than us. This is gonna be an absolute stink fest on Sunday, man. This is
Are
gonna
they
be.
though?
They're not. No, I think if Dart
They're
plays, we're gonna.
a bit more
Who's
competitive.
I should
Is
know who's
Dart potentially not playing? Isn't he? I didn't know that he was hurt.
the kid's in and out of the blue tent every week. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I think he's okay this week.
Um, but yeah, I think. Yeah, I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be starting, and I frankly, I think they're gonna. They have. I think they're gonna beat us. But yeah, the scouting wise, it's like they're not pretty rough top to bottom. They've got a good defensive front that's pretty much wasted on that roster, and they also underperform the amount of talent that they have. But Dart is a fun young quarterback that can do some cool stuff. And frankly, do you think he's a better player than JJ McCarthy, Pop? Who do you think's better? That's because that's the bar
Man,
right now. JJ McCarthy is the bar, unfortunately, for
I
success. Because JJ McCarthy hung 31 points on us last
yeah,
week.
I would say I don't know, like the Jackson
I think
Dart. I
Dart's
think
better.
I would tend to agree, but I think it's McCarthy's had other performances, not that good, but similar, where he's had really good games. He's been in and out of the lineup too, but yeah, I mean, I think your point is relevant. Of we could make him look just as good as we made JJ McCarthy look.
I tell you what, I'd be shaking in my boots if it was Jameis. It's gotten to that point. Like I think if Russ plays, we got a chance, but I don't think Russ is. Speaking of guys
No,
that the time has whizzed by. Um,
I can't believe he's still on the roster. I mean, I don't know
no,
what the
they
point of that is.
I don't know, in case both of them get hurt, I guess. But even then,
So the
call it high.
Giants have the 31st ranked defense, and we're the 30th if you look at
Okay,
yards.
nice, sick,
So
awesome.
should be a battle of the Titans there.
Sounds
Maybe
about
we could
right.
score some points this week. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the saving grace is you hope that this thing turns into a points of palooza and Jackson Dart makes the last mistake. That's what it's going to come. That's really what this game. We can do scouting report. We can go position by position. We can talk about advantages and disadvantages. What this game is going to come down to is who vomits last. That's what this game's going to come down to because it is going to be a puke fest. If you're showing your friend from Australia American football for the first time and you want them to hate it, show them this game. All right, it's good. This game is going to be a complete
Well, I think
zoo.
I'm gonna try to spin things around because obviously there's no reason not to be negative. But I think if you're the Commanders and you want to show everybody something, you know, that team couldn't have been more down and defeated.
Yeah,
We got reporters saying they never saw anything like it. So if you want to show everybody what you're really made of, then give us a performance like you did against the Broncos, and then we probably won't even need to talk about, a 9 game losing streak. Because I think if you play like you did against the Broncos, you win this game.
I don't.
So
I don't think
so
they.
show us that. We're not confident that that's what we're going to see, but show us that.
Yeah, that's what it really will come down to is they've got to go out and want this game the way they wanted the Broncos game, and I just don't know how when you're looking at 3-10, I don't know how. And some of the interviews I've heard from certain players baffle me in regards to that record. But I can't stand. the process over outcome conversation in professional sports. I can't stand it. That makes me want to. I'm not a pro athlete. Maybe I don't know. Okay, I'm a pretty bad golfer. That's the closest thing I come to being an athlete. I It makes me want to vomit. This is an outcome. If there's anything in the world that is outcome oriented, it's professional sports. There is a scoreboard. The team that scores the most points wins, and the other team is the loser. That I can't stand that conversation. So that baffles me that there are guys talking like
Well,
that.
again, I think we should move it along, but
Yeah, let's get to the
context
that's
matters, right? If you lost a bunch of competitive close games, that's one thing, but that's not the case,
yeah,
right? You just, I mean, go back if you haven't heard our post game. There's a nice little rant in there by me talking about what I think about the Vikings, right? I
yeah,
mean, they're not a good football team. They're a terrible football team, and they beat us 31-0. It's hard to even imagine.
yeah.
So, not being 3-10 is one thing. Being 3-10 and being completely uncompetitive in many, many instances, and in some cases against not very good teams. The Atlanta Falcons blew us off the field. It's another example. There's probably others, right?
Bad
They
team.
aren't any good. They suck too.
Bad team.
So,
Jackson Dart or Michael Penix.
yeah, but we should move this along.
Anyways, the keys to the victory are a little tongue in cheek this week. It's like maybe we should score more than 0 points. I mean, how do you do keys to the victory, man? How do you do
Go
keys to
through
the
them. Go through them. I
victory?
put a lot of thought into these.
Key number one is score points. Key number two is make defensive stops.
Maybe
And key
stop
to
them on occasion. You're
yeah,
killing the bit.
make at least one defensive stop. And key number three is avoid giving up 12-minute drives. Those are your keys. Key number three would be I would like for the broadcast to not put up a graphic and say longest drive in New York Giants history. After you drive down the field, I'm going to add a fourth key. I would like for an offensive lineman not to be whoever's playing quarterback. I would like for an offensive lineman not to be their first read at any point in this game. That's my last key.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you want to talk more seriously, maybe let's stop giving Chris Rodriguez less than 10 carries. Maybe if you're inside the 5, you just hand the ball to Rodriguez. I don't understand. It's
Well,
like the
that
guy's
that
got a
that speaks
union
to the
mandate
arrogance,
break.
right?
He's got to take halftime. Like,
But that
uh,
speaks to the arrogance. Like when you're in a situation like this, and you're getting blown off the field, and you've got a struggling team, and something's working. The guy. I mean, the most mind blowing statistic is he was averaging 8 yards a carry when they decided to throw the ball 3 times from the 1 yard line. How do you explain it?
and I tell you what, we could be talking about this. This could be a completely different 28 minutes of our lives if you just hand that ball off one more time.
Yeah,
Anyways, um, let's get into our bottom bets here. Uh, boys were better last week. I pop up 4-2. I went 3-3. Some better picks. The games were tighter. This is the time of the year, in my opinion, where you can chop some wood because you know who everybody is. You can get comfortable. The NFL had such a big shakeup this year. I think the beginning of the year hurt the boys on the record, but we're trending in the right direction.
a
That puts
lot of
Pop at
upsets this year.
Pop at 34-40 for the year. That puts me at 31-43 for the year. And Commanders versus Giants is going to be just a
3 game
prediction. This one
lead.
does not count towards the bottom bets. Pop's got 3 on me so far. Commanders versus Giants. Giants 2.5 point favorites. Again, does not count towards the bottom bets. I'd go ahead and take the Giants if I was y'all.
I'm taking the Giants. I
Yeah.
think this team's got to look. This team's got to prove to me that they deserve us to pick them.
Yep. Agree.
And right now they don't. And so I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. So
Agree.
their differential is minus 88. Ours is minus 92. So I guess it is pretty close in terms of non-competitive football this year between these
Yeah.
two teams. So
Um, Thursday night football. Falcons at Bucks. Bucks are 4.5 point favorites. What do you like there?
give me those Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'll take the Bucks as well. Just no hope of anything going on in Atlanta unless they come to DC. You want to get
Captain
right.
Kirk, right?
You want to cover a 4.5 point spread. You come to Washington, D.C. We'll take care of you.
That's a
Um,
team that I've paid no attention to, especially
I
since
couldn't.
Penix has been out. I have no idea if Cousins has played well, horrible, no clue.
And that's why we're betting on it. Bet responsibly, folks. 1-800-GAMBLER. Bills 1.5 points at the Patriots. Bob's loving it. This is a heck of a game. I tell you what, there's a good chance that I watched the second half of this one instead of ours. Bills 1.5 point favorites at the Patriots. I can't believe this hasn't been flexed. That's
I know. I
crazy
was
talk.
surprised it was just a regular 1 o'clock
Oh
game.
my God, you're gonna make us watch Dolphins Steelers on Monday night instead of this?
Oof.
That's heinous. Um, this is, this is. I mean, this might be the game of the year. What do you
Yeah,
think?
you know, I would not be shocked at all if Patriots win this game. They're rolling. I'm going to pick the Bills just on the fact that I think it's hard to imagine the Pats sweeping them, although it's a home game for them. But I'm
Yeah,
going Bills.
if Pats win this game,
If the
go
Pats
ahead and put
wins,
in your
yeah,
Drake May MVP tickets and parlay it with the Super Bowl. Because Pats win this game, season's over. Um, um, I'm rolling with the Pats, man. It's God's
I knew
team
that
this
was
year.
coming.
It's God's team. I
It's a
am
good
not.
pick. Home
I
dog.
like. I like both
Yeah,
of these teams, man. I don't really have a strong feeling on it, but I'm gonna go Pats. Ravens 2.5 point favorites at the Bengals. These guys just played a couple weeks ago on Thanksgiving. What do you like here, Pop?
I got to go Bengals. Ravens are another team, similar to us. Not that I put them in any kind of category of fandom, despite Dom's accusations. But I just they got to
It's
prove
your
it
own
to me,
behavior,
man.
not my accusations.
They got to prove it to me, man. And Joe Burrow's back with those weapons. I'm
Yeah,
going Bengals.
yeah. Give me the Bengals as well here. Um, Packers 2.5 point favorites at the Broncos. What do you like there, Pop?
I like the Packers. Not going to be easy in Denver, but I like the Packers.
Give me the Broncos. I'll zag. I feel like this is a good spot to zag here. Broncos getting points at home. They've looked like one of the best teams of football.
Have they?
I think Denver is a Super Bowl level team this year.
They, they edged the Raiders last week.
That's how they win every week. It's just a
That's my point. At
style of
some
ball
point,
they
it's got to
play.
catch up. It caught up to the Bears
Caught
last
up to
week.
us, I guess, finally, but
Yeah,
at the end of last year and going to next year. But it's this year right now,
almost
and
lost to a 3-10 team too.
yeah.
Yeah,
But they didn't. We almost lost a bunch of times last year. We didn't, and now we've actually lost. Uh, Give me the Broncos. Vikings at Cowboys. 6.5 point favorites. The Cowboys are. What do you like here, Pop?
I mean, why wouldn't you pick the Vikings after that performance last week? But I'm going to zag and go Cowboys.
I'm going Cowboys as well, man. Cowboys are good. Unfortunately for us, the Cowboys are good at football.
Yeah, and they
Dolphins.
tend to bounce back after losses, right? They've been up and down all year. Good at home.
Yeah, and I
The
think they actually
Cowboys.
have, like Pop said, I like their coach. Monday Night
Yeah,
Football, Dolphins at Steelers. Steelers are 3.5 point favorites here. This was interesting because the Dolphins were like pretty bad to start the year and have kind of
getting better.
leveled out. Um, you talk about a guy coaching for his job. They're on a 4-game win streak, actually, as a matter of fact, which they kicked
Holy
off
crap! Didn't realize that.
kicked off against the B and G. Yeah, they're the hottest team in football
We're a
right
get
now.
well team, man. Everybody, you got to
Oh
play us
man,
if you want to get
call us
well.
Theraflu, man. Yeah, they're the hottest team in football right now.
That was a good one.
Or no, sorry,
Yeah,
New
I
England's the
mean,
hottest team in
a
football,
little
but
on the fence with this one. I mean, Steelers play a lot of close games too. It'd be perfect with the way things are going in that division that they would drop that game and the Ravens would win. And,
yeah,
they'd both be 7-7, and everything's up for grabs. But I'm gonna go with the Steelers. I just think they're at home and it means a lot more to them. the end of the day. But it
I'm gonna
wouldn't
take
shock me if the Finns won it.
I'm gonna take the Fins, man. I'm gonna take the Fins.
You're
Uh,
getting wild this week.
yeah, give me the Fins. I gotta tingle about it. At this point, I'm down 3 games. I'm gonna start pressing. I'm gonna start
Well,
trying
they're
to
favored by
use
more
my
than a
legs a
field
little bit.
goal, so if they can keep it within a field goal,
And I
you
just
win.
something about that Steelers team smells funny.
No,
I don't know.
I don't believe in them. That's just that's you always seem to have that one division every season where it's kind of
A race to the bottom.
who's not going to lose it or whatever. I don't know what the right
Yeah.
way of saying it, but it's like nobody really wants to win the division. Nobody runs away with it. It just kind of you just kind of get a default winner. Ron Rivera's first season was one of those. What we go 8-9 or something. So,
A lot of
but
head coaches having miracle first seasons and then going. Anyways, uh, Dolphins. Yeah, I'm picking the Dolphins. Pop, you got the Steelers.
I got the Steelers.
What do you
So
say we
yeah,
wrap
so
this thing up, man?
we've picked 3 games differently. So some some chance to either create separation like a Terry McLaurin or for you to catch up. So
Yeah, let's
let's
wrap this
wrap it
thing
up.
up, man. What do you say?
I would love
Without
to.
further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thank you all for another great week, and yeah, go to the Commanders. Technically.
Yeah.